Welcome to another episode of the Data Story Show. Welcome, Alex.
Welcome.
Great being here back at Las Naves, Valencia. Carlos, thank you very much for this sponsoring. We love you guys. You're the best. So today we're going to talk about a theme that I'm very, very passionate about, and I believe you're also very, very passionate about, which is visualizations or infographics.
The big actual market between the big data and the Excel for nerds. No, maybe.
I like the Excel for nerds.
No, actually it's a problem because Alex and me we talk a lot of times about this in previous measures in a Slack. If one infography provide good data, or the infography is only for share the shame that is right for the newspaper, magazine, or reporter, or a lot of good content and a lot of articles is not supported by the infography. Well, what is the actual status of the infography and the data visualization in the world?
Well, that's I think it's a big question that we're tackling today. I think we need to understand that, because we're generating more and more data than anywhere at any time in our history of the human beings. Now visualizations and infographics are becoming the norm, and not just because of the prettiness of the infographics, but because we're getting into this situation where it's more and more needed to explain certain behaviors and make sense out of all the data that we're generating. Now for me, there's big situation that's happening. On one hand, you have the need of visualizations because we have a lot of information, and on the other hand, we have the eye candiness of visualization. So while we do need it, the way most people are executing visualizations, I personally think are horrible.
But what do you think, Alex? You need that the 100% of articles need infographic content if the article is talking about data, or not?
I think that right now, I think human beings are visual creatures. And anything that we can put in visual form is going to aid and help them. Now, each medium has their own strong points and weaknesses, okay? So visualizations, the thing is, it takes a long time to build them or to design them, to create them, so they're time consuming, but they can explain concepts, or they can explain behaviors in a much better way than any text can do, or any data alone can do. Now, I think this is more of a trade-off in terms of, if I have to generate a very powerful visualization, let's use it to explain a very powerful concept, something that we really want people to understand because it's the core of what we're trying to achieve. So, typical case for great visualizations are elections. We're in election time, so elections are very good for or visualizations are very good for the election periods because they kind of
a lot of data, and the people need to understand all this data.
Exactly.
If you need to write an article, you need to write a book. The same data.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's important because here we're talking about the consequences of who wins and who runs a country are very there, which means that, and surprisingly, it's not the average Joe that wants to consume this kind of visualization, but it's actually the people that are running political parties that are interested in those visualizations. Why? Because they can see where they were weaker, where they were stronger, where did they get more support, and why. So it's another way, another perspective on how they did it during the elections. So it's for a very, I would guess that the person that gets the most out of the visualization is the expert. Now that being said, and this is the magic of visualizations, is that there are multi-layered or several layers to a visualization.
It can be a lot of difficult or too difficult to understand one graphic, and with the same data explained with different kind of visualization, with the same data, another provider of visualization can do a work that is better understand for everyone.
Well, but I think the key here is the everyone part. So I think good visualizations have a superficial layer that the average Joe can actually read and understand and enjoy. So imagine that you want to compare how the political forces did in Valencia compared to Madrid, or compared to Barcelona, or compared to Alicante. Okay, you want to compare yourself with your neighbors. So mostly everyone is going to be willing to do that, and it's kind of fun to get that data. Now there's extra layers underneath that where you start going deep into the visualization and the data that might only interest specific professionals in the political arena. Okay, so I think that's the key of a good visualization, is something like that. Now the question is how hard it is to do that.
It's a lot of hard to create the data visualization, but a lot of time we see the same content or the same kind of content, maybe similar for different data, and a lot of creator of visualization is providing always the same kind of content. For example, for the elections, you can see the same graphic in the last 20 years, and it's not doing a deep work for show better this kind of information, for example, in Spain or in Europe.
Well,
what is the opportunity?
But that's a good question, and let me get the book right now. So we're reading this book, The Functional Art, from Alberto Cairo. Actually, we're very excited to get and read his next book, which is coming out in a couple of months, I believe. And hopefully we will have Alberto.
Yes, this is a premiere.
This is a premiere.
This is a t-shirt.
We're going to have Alberto on the program. So very good fans. And Alberto in his book raises a very good point. He says, because it's so costly to do a visualization, most media outlets work through templates. So a designer has this template, and essentially what they do is with each election, they'll just update the numbers. But the design and the visualization is always the same. That's why it's so hard to be innovative there. But that's my point, is that because it's so hard, people don't innovate and people don't change the way they do visualizations. But that's changing. The tools that we have right now are so much easier than what we had 10 years ago. So now nearly everyone is capable of doing visualizations, good visualizations. Alberto actually starts the book with a fantastic example where he goes like, let me show you how to do a visualization with a spreadsheet. Actually, I believe he uses OpenOffice to do the visualization, and you go, yes, a program that everyone has on their laptops or even on your tablet, you can start doing good visualizations that make sense. Now, there's another bigger question within that. It's not only that it's hard to do it and it's time consuming, so when do you invest that time to do it? But the other question is, what kind of audience are you aiming this visualization to? And I believe this was something we were talking before. In a way, actually, Alberto also touches in this point between extreme minimalism in the design of a visualization. So things that are closely resemble what you would see on the Journal of Mathematics or the Annals of Physics or something like that, compared to eye candy, very glossy, very beautiful, and a lot of fantastic design for visualizations that might go on a blog or on a magazine, on a weekend magazine or something like that. So the question, and interestingly enough, Alberto basically balances both and says, well, neither one or the other one, but somewhere in between. In my opinion, I think it's more about asking yourself this question: who is going to consume this?
Who is going to pay for this?
Not pay. I mean, people pay for the publication.
Yes, but no. This is the next question: is what kind of companies need or is going to need in near future this kind of visualization of content?
Everyone. I would say everyone.
And who of these companies is using or paying at this moment? It's a little number.
No one. But because I think that we haven't reached the point yet on the mainstream where
Yes, the break-even between the old technology, the no visualization for take decisions in the companies.
yeah, exactly. I think that the key point here is the decision-making process.
This is the actual work.
Yeah,
We are using all data with all data visualization and with all process.
yeah, but more importantly, it's like I think a lot of people they just didn't get the memo that every month that goes by we generate more and more and more and more and more and more data.
Yes.
Which means that decision that 10 years ago you took on the board meeting of your company with this and that paper, just 2 sheets of paper, it's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
So right now, the amount of variables that we are managing, the amount of information that gets computed into taking and making a decision is way, way bigger. The scope is way bigger, like orders of magnitude bigger. Now the question is, then again, we could go back to the automatization of management, but the question is, the point here is visualizations basically illuminate that decision. I was tempted to say simplify, but there's no simplification in visualization. So visualizations do not simplify data.
Yes.
They just
Provide maybe a more easy understandable content.
Exactly.
But the data is the same.
Exactly. It's another window into the data.
Yes.
And this is the reason why doing good visualizations is so hard, because I can show you the raw data and just plot it on a chart, or I can start answering questions with that data. And then with the same information, I can give you different
Perspectives.
Exactly, different perspectives, different snapshots that answer different questions.
And you take a lot of different decisions with the same data, show it in a different visualization.
Exactly.
But it's the same data.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest issues with visualization and in general with data is the relation between correlation and causation,
Yes.
which are 2 different effects that people keep mixing all the time. I think when it comes to visualizing data, this is one of the major issues that you see over and over and over again. It's like, amount of cucumbers versus, innovation in African countries. And you go like,
What?
what?
What is
And
the math?
yeah, they say, well, perfect correlation. And they say, like, there you go. The more cucumbers you eat, the more innovative you are.
Wow.
You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Explain better.
Okay, correlation doesn't mean causation. Yes. And so while 2 variables might be tightly correlated, that doesn't mean that one generates the other one, or vice versa. Yes. So I think that's one of the things that in the graphic aspect of data you have to be very careful, and it's one of those parts where most people fail to use visualizations to answer things. And you and I talk a lot about infographics, and we see a lot of infographics in the content marketing space. Now there's this new trend that go like, no, if you want to reach your audience, if you want to get more shares and more likes, you need to do infographics. Yes. Now, I would actually dare all of you guys out there to check the last 10 infographics you've actually seen on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever it is, and check them out and see if you learned something from them.
Or only explain in less seconds, or less time, the same that is written in the article.
Exactly.
Because a lot of magazine on purpose, what it's doing is cutting or providing a lower content with the infographics, but it's not going more deep in the data.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why you and I started Venture Watch a year ago, actually.
A year ago?
A year ago.
Yes.
A year ago, exactly a year ago this month.
And the next company that we can talk.
Exactly.
Is live.
But I remember this situation in Venture Watch where we're using very simple charts. We're using very simple visualizations. We're not going fancy. We're not going innovative about this.
Why? This is what we ask.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why we are using not a huge or big or a lot of dynamic infographic. We are trying to use the more basics. Why?
Well, because it's easier to answer the question with that. I mean, you don't need fancy infographics to answer this. The bells and whistles just detract from getting an answer. Now, you need to make them fancy. You need to make them easily digestible. Okay, if they're ugly, people are not going to watch them. Yes. Norman, the designer, has a very interesting theory about the design of beautiful things and how that affects our psyche. But I think it's important to realize that you always need to keep evolving within the visualization space. So to give an example of what happened in Venture Watch, I don't know if you remember, there was a point where we're thinking, hey, are we heading into a bubble?
Yes.
Are we really heading into a bubble? Now we thought, okay, what kind of metrics can we plot, can we visualize to keep like a watchdog as to when are we derailing the venture capital activity in Spain, and when it's within normal parameters.
And what is the most valuable content or in the graphic for startups and investors, because it's a lot of different interests for different people.
Different audiences. And so we created this chart that basically plots amount of investment versus number of deals on a larger scale. And very clearly you can see when the activity is just like going off the charts. Obviously, this is a simplification of the world, and I think people need to understand that. And you can make visualizations that have a lot more layers of depth on top of them, okay? And hopefully we will show some of them in the future. But sometimes the industry or the answers that you're looking for have been so elusive for the people writing in that space that it's so simple to just visualize it and say this, and people go like, oh wow.
Usually what we see in Venture was when we analyze the rest of the market in data visualization is a lot of people don't start doing the right questions.
Yeah.
The people is not asking what kind of information need or what point of view need for answer the questions, and people is only providing content and providing visualization for all the content.
Yeah.
And not focusing what is the core, what is the most important content. And finally, we have a lot of content, a lot of visualization. And for example, if you take 10 infographic, the 10% of the infographic is the most important.
Yeah, but
this is our first question when we create Venture Watch and Big Data 6. Replay what is the core of the content and what is the content that is going to provide the best value for the company or the client.
Yeah, I think it's the every consumer of information should take into account the what are they learning from this?
Yes.
If you're not learning anything that's valuable for you, or makes you grasp something that you go like this aha moment where you go, yes, oh shit, wow,
this is important for me, for my work, or for my market.
Exactly. I mean, those are the good visualizations, the ones that you actually grab them and you go to, you go back to your board meeting and you go like, check this out.
Yes.
Like, wow.
Wow, guys, we are doing well, bad, or we need to take care of this.
Exactly.
This is the most valuable information.
So, well, I hope, people get another perspective on visualization. We could talk all day long about this. And
today, what we like to recommend, not is a TV show, is the Alberto Cairo book.
Yeah.
We are going to link in Amazon below.
Now, actually, I want to show them that something that's very cool is that it comes with a CD with a lot of content that you can also play. It's actually different content from the actual book. So the Functional Art by Alberto Cairo, and he's about to release his new book that hopefully we can also introduce in one of our next episodes.
Yes.
And I hope that in next occasions we can cover different perspectives. And I hope that with Alberto we can talk about, I think, a key point
in the data visualization.
On the data visualization space, which is being careful of not treating your audience as if they were simpletons, as if they were stupid. the audience is not stupid. The audience is way smarter than most people think. Now the question is, how lazy are they? How much attention are they devoting to what you're doing?
How many times you are searching that the final user is going to need for hit this content?
Exactly. I mean, so laziness is different, or attention spans are different from being simple people.
Yes.
Two different concepts. So guys, hopefully I hope you've enjoyed the show, and
See you soon.
See you soon.
With a new episode.
And what of the Data Story Show.
Data Story Show.
And once again, thank you to our great sponsors, Las Naves. Thank you, Charlie, for making this happen. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.